Welcome back to RebelWatch. I'm your host, Erika Dierke, and I'm joined today with
Certuse.
I'm Mariah.
And I'm Henry Stuart.
Ole Miss almost won by 50 this weekend.
We're going to win this game by 50 points.
And as we predicted last week, I'd say 49-0 is pretty dang close. It was an absolutely dominant game. It's hard to take that much away from a game like that, but we will try anyway. What are you guys thinking about the game this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to take anything away from that game, right? I mean, it was a completely transparent game in terms of what everybody predicted off the score. I mean, they executed well. The score wasn't as high as most people predicted, but I think that was just people getting carried away with themselves. Things that I think you can take away from this game is that the depth on the Ole Miss bench isn't as dynamic as we thought. I mean, I think after that first half, trying to rotate some guys in, I think I wish there was more success with some of the secondary guys, but it is really hard to take away. I mean, it was an extremely dominant game, as it should have been. What do you want to see from this game that, is going to give you any telltale signs about the future of this season, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are stats that just kind of jump off the page, like we're looking at 603 total yards. That's huge. Trinidad Chambliss with his 333 yards. Kewan Lacey, we talked about him last week, and then he showed up in a big way with 3 rushing touchdowns. But, I mean, when it's against a team like this, it's hard to tell what it means. I think what we lost in our offense from what we predicted, we were in the 60s and it was more in the 40s. We gained with a shutout, though. I think that is really exciting. What do you think about our defense?
Yeah, defense was phenomenal. I mean, I was really just impressed with the way Ole Miss's pass rush and run defense in particular. I mean, they just swore to the ball. I mean, all the credit in the world of the Citadel because they just kept getting out there and trying to run the same plays over and over again, but they were just getting straight up manhandled at the line of scrimmage. They were getting lit up from all angles. I mean, there were several plays where, the quarterback didn't even have time to hand it off to the running back. Prince William Mielin or Tyrion Perkins is literally right there. He's got like both of them wrapped up at the same time. Like they don't even have time to hand off the ball. So shout out to Pete Golding and company because this defense looks straight up nasty and is a far cry from the unit that we saw at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you were a big apologist for the Citadel. What did you think?
I'm still gonna say I'm sorry, Troops. I salute you. And it was just Veterans Day, so salute. But also, I think I took away from it with the defense. Only 106 yards for Citadel, and I still do feel bad about that. Kewan Lacey, 1 short of making school record, and I think that's going to be impressive when we get to say that this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you, Max, about the depth on our bench, though. Austin Simmons, it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it was disappointing, but what do you expect for a guy that hasn't played, since the beginning of the season? I don't think you could say much about that. I mean, what I'm watching is the secondaries on defense that we put in. I'm watching our special teams unit, which remained the secondary of our special teams unit was, exactly that. But I don't think that was terribly important. But yeah, we could talk about Austin Simmons, but again, I think he's a good athlete when he has the time to thrive in an environment that allows him to do so, as any athlete should. But this game was just kind of hard to get some takeaways from. And you talk about Pete Golding's defense. It was extremely impressive, but also, I also saw the same defense against Georgia where those secondaries were just not putting anything together. And then against Oklahoma, it looked significantly better. But see, now you have a completely dominant game for the defense, but it shouldn't go to their head because, although Florida has absolutely struggled offensively, this defense has to, hope for more than a blowout win against Citadel. That should be the standard, which, Kiffin is accredited to saying that the standard is the standard. And that's exactly what it is. So, I don't know what to expect from this defense. I'm not really going to look at that game and say, well, this is good, this is bad. It went exactly how it should have been. And that's good. It's not bad, but it's not, anything overwhelmingly great.
And the shutout is misleading because they should have made at least one of those field goals. Like it could have been 3 points or 6 points for the Citadel. Granted, we handed them a field goal going for it on 4th down. We didn't need to, but it's a misleading shutout as well.
Yeah, honestly, my biggest takeaway from this game is offensively. I was really disappointed again from the play calling. Not really any option plays this time. Instead, we just ran a bunch of screens. That's great, but that can't be the bulk of your offensive production like it was on Saturday. Just tons of tunnel screens and wide receiver screens, and those can be effective, but you're also not playing NCAA on your Xbox. You're playing against a Division I program, and yeah, it's the Citadel. They're bottom of the SoCon, but diversify and run downfield, run vertically, not horizontally. Charlie Weiss Jr., again, just I guess maybe he watched the show, heard me complain about the option. So he said, okay, I'll give him a bunch of screens. Well, I'm not impressed with that either, Charlie. Can we run some routes downfield? Is it really that hard for you to get some of those passing concepts dialed up? It really shouldn't be, because that's the backbone of really Ole Miss offense. And yeah, we do run a lot of screens, but that can't be the mainstay of production for your offense.
Yeah, my question to you though is, do you really pull out all the stops on your offensive roster? When you're against Citadel, I think I would never show your cards like that. I feel like that's almost premature to do when you have games like Mississippi State coming up in Florida. I don't see why if you can beat them with checkdowns and then hold some of your best weapons and keep them up your sleeve, why not do that?
Yeah, I would just want to hide it. I mean, I don't want them to have all my weapons on film going against me, and then we're going to Starksville with the little cowbell.
Now, granted, you could try it. I think to your point, you're probably saying, well, you could try them against Citadel and see how they work.
Yeah, that's one.
But also, I think Lane Kiffin is so confident in his offensive skills that he knows that he can execute those with the players that he has at any time with any given opponent.
I don't even want to try it against Citadel.
I think there's validity to that, but I also just don't think that running screens for like the entirety of, your 600-something yards, like, okay, great, it works against the Citadel, but I mean, yeah, again, they're a bottom-tier FCS team. It should work. I would have liked to see more diversity in shots down the field. We really didn't. I mean, Kiffin Lacey had 3 touchdowns, but he had like 50 yards? We didn't really put an emphasis on the run game that much. It was just all screen passes, and not saying show everything against the Citadel, but get some experience. Use this as a scrimmage because you do have 2 games against some pretty solid. I'm not going to say Florida's solid, and I'm not going to say Mississippi State's solid, but some better competition.
Well, and we're going to look into that in a moment. First, Henry and Mariah did have the opportunity to speak very briefly with Jalen Braxton, so that was really exciting. We're going to take a quick look at the interview with him.
How have you handled criticism and mistakes that you've made over these past couple seasons?
I just got to do all that I can do, so I don't really worry about what everybody else is saying. Just make sure I'm putting my best foot forward and giving my all.
How would your teammates describe you off the field?
They probably think I'm an introvert, but if you really get to know me, like, I really talk a lot. I'm really goofy.
Has there been a player that you feel has had the biggest impact on you as a player and personally as a man?
Dwight McLaughlin, we called him Nudie. At Arkansas, when I came there as a freshman, he was an upperclassman, and he just kind of helped me just understand the game more and stuff like that. So I'll give a shout out to him.
Is there anything on film that you've seen against Florida that you're watching for Saturday?
The route concepts, third downs and stuff like that, what they like to do. Just paying attention to all my keys.
What kind of prompted you to choose Ole Miss out of all the other schools in the transfer portal?
I just like the culture here, the coaches, Coach PG and how he runs his defense, Coach Brown. Mainly my deciding factors was the coaching staff.
Speaking of Pete Golden, has there been any message or motto that he said that you've really embraced over this season?
Having the same mindset every day, just going out there and attacking and just at the end of the day, just do your job.
What a great opportunity to speak with Jalen. The entire interview will be on YouTube. And we will get back right after the break to talk and change gears to some basketball. And then we will talk more about the upcoming football games. Hopefully we'll get to see Jalen play some more minutes. We'll see you right after the break.
You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places. And if you work, you'll emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you.
That's me.
And if they don't know who you are now, they will soon.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact. Dagger with the shot clock down to 1. That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield. Fagan from the corner with a triple. Burrell for 3, that's a big response. 3-ball, yes. Biss shooting lights out at the pavilion. Give him one more. Wow, Valley. Oh, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
Ole Miss basketball is in non-conference play right now, but they did get to play an actually competitive opponent in Memphis this past week. So that was a really interesting game. We're seeing, a lot of transfers and they're stepping up, and we're seeing guys that aren't Malik Dia playing really well. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Impressed how Memphis kept the game so close. It was a back and forth type of game, and I liked it when I'm watching basketball. And I think Ole Miss has some work to do, I would say, looking at the turnovers and things like that. But I'm impressed so early in the season, though.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of momentum that a team like this needs. I talked about it last week, the building culture around a school where, basketball is more of a second or middle child, I guess you could say. It's a little neglected, but I think a win like this is big. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest opponents they've played so far this season, even though that's not saying much. But yeah, this is the kind of momentum you need going, later into the season, and they're putting things together, clicking on offense. So
Yeah, I mean, Memphis is definitely a formidable foe. It's somewhat of a rivalry. So I'm glad we have this game. I think it's telling. What do you think?
Yeah, this game is a rivalry. It's known as the Mid-South rivalry. We played them last year in Memphis and got smacked. So we got our get back this year. Y'all are kind of undervaluing the value of this win. This is a quad one win, and this is Ole Miss's third game of the season. So that's a huge pickup this early in the season. And yeah, outside of the 7 turnovers, I'd say Ole Miss played really well, actually. I mean, they shot terribly from the free throw line, 14-22. That was a problem with them last year. But Elis Carmodine, I mean, he went absolutely ballistic. 26 points. Giza Kiffin, he had a huge game as well. My goodness, just a lot of production from this Ole Miss squad. And this was a rock fight. This was Memphis had 10 plus personal fouls in both halves, and a lot of shoving, a lot of chippiness going on. Like, this very much was a rivalry game, and Ole Miss played well, and they played sloppily in some areas, and it's impressive that they managed to get the win in spite of some of those errors, mainly the turnovers.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have, a real valuable game this early in the season, because kind of like what we were just saying with the Citadel, it's hard to tell all these new guys, like, is it just a simple team that they're playing against, or are they actually good? And so to see them put it together against Memphis, who we do not always beat, is definitely very telling. We're very happy about that. But we are going to change gears back to football. It's that time of year. It's autumn. It feels like football outside. So I want to talk about football. I actually spoke with 2 sports reporters for NewsWatch, Parker Fulton and BJ Ridgway, and we got in a little bit more to the whole Lane Kiffin and his whole coaching controversy that he has off the field right now. So we're going to take a look at that conversation right now.
Florida has the brain. Okay, but let's think about Saban. Whenever Saban went to Bama, was Bama the powerhouse what they was today? Saban had building blocks there. Kiffin is going to make building blocks here. He's going to stay.
Bama still had a brand. They were just in a rough time with Mike Shula as their head coach.
So why would you want to leave something that's now going places? Ole Miss is now going places. You're going to Florida where it's stale. What is in Louisiana for you?
There's a lot of money in LSU and at Florida. They can get any recruit they want, even with as bad as they have been. They've gotten 5 stars and 4 stars left and right. They've had better recruiting classes than Ole Miss.
Lane is a brutal strategist. That's what that man lives and breathes in the offseason.
When he goes to Florida, that would be a very popular destination for players in the portal.
But you're moving backwards then at that point. You already about to the playoffs at this point, how it's looking.
Kiffin never has a team move backwards, ever. He's going to go there. And he could grab him Florida class like he normally does. He could even grab some people from Ole Miss. He may grab Austin Simmons, and then he may be the starting quarterback. Or Kiffin could produce Lagway into the quarterback we all thought he
I'll be honest. He just moved his family here.
And he's had one very, very big complaint. The environment and the fans in the student section.
I thought our red zone offense showed up about like our student section did today.
You won't get that problem at Florida. They show up for every game, no matter who they're playing. They stay.
But he loves it here. Only one negative.
At the game,
that's only one negative.
You can tell he gets so ticked off about it at his press conference.
What you're seeing on social media, that's not the full story.
He's like Kiffin. He lives on social media.
The Washington State game, tell me, if you was a college kid in a town like Oxford, would you be waking up at the crack of dawn?
I did.
To go to a football game?
I did. And I said all game. I did too. It was a close game. Why would you leave a close game? I don't care who you're playing. Florida fans wouldn't do that. They played USF. The students were still there towards the end of the game when USF kicked the game-winning field goal to beat Florida.
Okay, but I don't feel like that's a big enough deterrent factor for that man to leave.
You know what it is, though? It's money. And you know what it is? The recruiting pool he'll have in Florida and Louisiana.
Money. If you bring your family here, why would you leave?
What makes you think he can't just bring them to Gainesville or to Baton Rouge?
How would you want to bring them to Gainesville? His son is a starting quarterback at the local high school.
And he could be the starting quarterback at a local high school in a Gainesville area where he will get more looks.
Why move him? He's getting looks where he is now.
He also has the backup, though.
He's starting now.
But once Jardine gets healthy, he'll be the backup again. This isn't a Simmons-Chambliss situation. That brings another
Why?
Bad. Trinidad Chambliss, yes, he's a senior. However, with him transferring from a Division II school, he has an extra year of eligibility. Chambliss could transfer with him to Florida or LSU and become a starting quarterback there and have a better chance at Heisman. If they see a guy who plays quarterback for LSU, he's automatically in. I mean, look, Garrett Nussmeier was one of the favorites to win Heisman this year.
What he's doing now. Exactly, though, but look at the brand. That man, the brand is carrying a 9-to-5 job. He's going to be looking at McDonald's after the season. So what makes you think?
Because Lane Kiffin's a quarterback guru. Okay, does so many great things with quarterback, and with the talent DJ Lagway has, think about what he could do with his talent. Just quarterbacks almost his entire coaching career, and they've all been successful. That is another quarterback. That's the dumbest thing. His favorite quarterback he's ever coached is Jackson Dart, who just started quarterback for the Giants. Oh, and their head coaching job just opened it up. Lane Kiffin would not have as much stress as he has coaching college sports and coaching in the NFL.
You might be the craziest dude I've ever heard. I played it. I'm telling you, he's staying. There is no debate. He's staying in Oxford, Mississippi.
Leave all cards on the table. When as Lane Kiffin is the most unpredictable human being on planet Earth. Nick Saban said it himself. He said, I think he should stay at Ole Miss. However, when has Lane Kiffin done anything we've expected him to do?
Thank you so much, Parker and BJ. I don't necessarily think we got to the bottom of that question, but we definitely got into a heated argument. You'll probably be seeing more of them on this show. Great, guys. Speaking of Florida and Lane Kiffin, we're going to get all into it after the break. Predictions, Lane Kiffin coaching moves, how that's going to affect the game, all of that. We'll be right back.
Today, I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible, from conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. From preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
All right, Revs. Our last home game is this weekend against Florida. I've had this game circled on my calendar for a while, basically since last year after what happened. Flashbacks. We're going to have our predictions in 3, 2, 1. We all got Ole Miss.
All right, clean sweep.
Clean sweep. So, I mean, this game has playoff implications from last year, coaching implications. We just talked to Parker and BJ about where Lane Kiffin is going to go. Do we think that Lane Kiffin being, in the running for, or in the conversations for a coaching job at Florida is going to have, ramifications on this game?
No.
I think it's going to have an undertone to how both teams play, I think. I mean, I was listening to SEC First Take, and they had a funny analogy. It's like It's like going to prom with a girl, and then all of a sudden, the prettier girl wants you too, and now you don't know what to do, right? It's like Lane Kiffin so let's get right into it. Like, let's unpack this. I think this is going to be a big game for him because he's going to show, first of all, look, you kind of wiped the floor with us last year, and you came. That was a big game for them last year. So Lane Kiffin's going to show them, I think, if he can go there, I'll show you what I can do if you give me a good offense or whatever. So I think that this game, and I'm not saying that that's going to lean one way or another. I'm not saying he is. I really have no idea, but I think it's almost immature to say that this game doesn't have a sort of moxie to it because of the situation at hand.
And talk about the atmosphere. I think this game is going to be electric. It's a night game, and the fans want to show up and prove why Oxford is where he should stay. So I think there's also that aspect to it. I think that this game, there's just a lot that goes into it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Everything. And I don't want to just, piggyback off, but genuinely, I think you're 100% right. Do I think he goes to Florida? I don't think he does, but that's just me personally.
Does anyone think that the outcome of this game, score, win, or anything, has anything to do with where he goes, or is it just kind of vibes?
Pure vibes.
But it does matter. This game will matter about where he goes. The score, I don't know, but also, Lane Kiffin, in my opinion, is a very focused mind when it comes to how a system is ran. I think he would take into account the score of this game. I don't think that should be a huge factor in everybody's mind, but I do think that if Ole Miss were to somehow lose again, then I think that would persuade him to do something. But again, I don't like.
Speaking of the score, we all took Ole Miss. What are our predictions?
Got 31-10 Ole Miss.
Wow. Okay, you think they're only scoring 10?
Florida doesn't have a good offense.
Okay, we'll get into it. What do you think?
I got 38-17.
15. I have 28-14.
I have 38-20. So it's different than yours.
Okay.
We'll get into the offense. 10. That's pretty low.
DJ Lagway needs to get on LinkedIn. Because playing quarterback and working out. Go get you a job at McDonald's or something. Because only thing you can do is put fries in the bag.
Put fries in the bag.
He's not good at football, and he's one of the most generational, hyped up quarterback prospects I've ever seen. Obviously, he's the same class as me. I'm a sophomore, as is DJ Lagway. So we graduated high school at the same time. So I was very much invested and interested in how the players in the class of 24 were going to do. And DJ Lagway showed a lot of promise last year. Hasn't balled it up a lick this season. He's played like absolute garbage, especially this past weekend against arguably the worst team in the SEC in Kentucky.
You don't think there's just some untapped potential?
Yeah, I think it's untapped potential. I really do. He hasn't been given a fair chance. He had Billy, whatever, I'm not even going to bring his name up, horrible coach. He had him, and now doesn't have Dallas Wilson. He doesn't have another receiver. He's not been given a fair chance to really be out there with a solid offense and a good coach. So I think it's unfair to just say horrible quarterback.
I disagree with that because great quarterbacks and truly generational prospects will find a way to win regardless of the talent that is around them.
I mean, I at least personally took a much higher, not much higher, but I think they'll be able to score. I think that, we're not coming off of a bye, but we're coming off of a, not very, difficult opponent. So we might be a little shaky. We know we're often slow to start, but then I think, I took 38 points for us because they don't have a very strong defense. I think it's 11th in the SEC. And so I think that, especially with how we've really been able to put it together in offense for the past couple of weeks, I think we're able to score a lot of points against them.
Yeah, I agree. And I took 38 too, because I do think that if everything runs accordingly, then this game will be a lot to a little type of situation. But to play Gators advocate, something that I will note that is important is the beginning of this game is extremely, extremely important. You saw what happened during Washington State, right? If you come out of this game and for some reason, whatever reason, you let up and you give this team that has nothing to lose, the opportunity to start, putting some key components together, and then, they have nothing to lose. They have an interim head coach, and who's the guy on the opposing sideline? Somebody that could be your future head coach. So this team has a lot to play for. And if they use that motivation correctly, they could cause some trouble in the beginning of this game. The early in this game is so important. And Ole Miss has started to wean towards being a second half team, in my opinion. So I think that, again, I'm not saying, it's Gators, but I do think that there is a potential universe where the Gators get some momentum at the beginning of this game and cause some trouble.
No, I agree. I think the logo is part of what I'm scared with. Like taking the roster out, I think we've historically played them almost a 500 record. The game with Tim Tebow, the game last year. Like I think obviously this isn't a rivalry, but like this team, there's just a lot like with this team that is scaring me.
Yeah, I'm scared of Florida every day. I wake up and I'm thinking about Florida. I'm scared just because they're still living off their legacy Tim Tebow build. When you hear Florida, you're still scared of what are they gonna bling?
I love Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow. Is he going to play this weekend?
So the thing is that I might throw on my Tim Tebow jersey, except I don't want to get a beer can thrown at my head. So I don't think I'm going to go with my Tim Tebow jersey this week.
Any team but Ole Miss for Max, I see.
Yeah, sir.
Those are the Rebels, but Tim Tebow was God's quarterback.
Okay, but anyway, I still think Florida.
No, it's not. Are you kidding me?
Florida has so many legends, and like Matt said, they're going to have a lot to play for. You want to impress. I think if you're any of their starters right now, you want to impress Lane Kiffin across that sideline because that could be your future head coach.
If we're going to, again, talk things that are outside of the box score, though, for Ole Miss, this is playoff implications. This game, same thing with Lane Kiffin. You know, we're trying to prove things when it comes to Lane Kiffin. And then also, I think it's a 95% chance of making the playoffs if we win this game. This is our last home game. You never know what can happen in the Egg Bowl. This is an absolutely crucial must-win game. And I hope that it's by 38-17. I hope that it's a lot to a little. But as long as we end up staying in the win column, as long as we're on top of the end of this game, I will leave the stadium with a smile.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm looking at this in the lens of Florida's not a very good football team. They have an interim head coach, and, you know, sometimes you see programs succeed with an interim head coach. Take a look at UCLA. They've looked a lot better since they fired Deshaun Foster. But, I mean, this team got dog-walked by the worst team in the SEC last week. They're now 1-4 against Kentucky since 2020.
Yeah.
So you're right. They don't have anything to lose, but they also continued to lose and are not very good. And they're still talking about they're going to get Lane Kiffin. They're going to get Lane Kiffin. And I'm a staunch believer that he's not leaving. So if I'm Ole Miss, I'm looking at this as they're trying to take our coach. That's disrespectful. Punch him in the mouth. Shut him up.
Yeah. Here's my other takeaway is that this game is extremely important because if you go into this game and absolutely dominate Florida, which you agree that they should on paper, that's extremely important, first of all, because you're coming off of a very easy game and a blowout win, and that we all know how that can throw off a team's mojo, a team's momentum. If this is a rough game against Florida, I would be extremely worried about how this team looks going into the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. I think that if I don't think they're going to lose, but if Ole Miss was to lose to Florida this weekend, or just had a close game, I'd honestly take State next week. I really would, because I think that there's going to be a lot to go into this game. And if you stand up momentum that Ole Miss is on, then it's great. And I think that you have absolutely nothing to worry about. But momentum is going to be big. And I think atmosphere is going to be huge for that Mississippi State.
Yeah. And it's Florida bye week State, too. Right. Yeah. So we really, really need a strong win. What do you think?
As somebody that done grew up in Mississippi, I think when you got to go out there in Florida and you just got to attack them and punch them in the mouth, like Aaron said. But I'm also going to say if they do have like a close win, I think Mississippi State is going to win because that's just a game that we've all grown up in Mississippi and you rooted for somebody. What?
Final thoughts, Henry? What?
Have you actually sat down and watched Mississippi State play football this year?
But,
I have. No.
I grew up here. I know how intense that rivalry is. Mississippi State and Ole Miss is an intense
I'm not going to debate the validity of whether or not it's a heated rivalry game, but this Mississippi State team are disaster class. Like they're
any given Saturday, anybody can win.
And they almost did against Texas. That blew that game.
I do agree. Any given Saturday, like you saw,
any given Saturday, have they been able to close out a major game this year? No, they haven't. They collapsed against Florida. They collapsed against Texas. They got dog walked by Georgia. SEC Nation comes to Starkville. Mississippi State is an overhyped football team. They're not good, and I'm sick and tired of people, especially y'all as Ole Miss students, saying that they're going to come and they're going to win this game. They're not. They don't know how to weigh baby out, and they will choke games in the most dramatic of fashions. I didn't even mention Tennessee. And then Mississippi blew that game.
Mississippi State was a worse team last year, and Ole Miss was a better team last year, and it was still a close game.
Yeah.
And it was at home. Anything can happen. Mariah and I have been tooting that horn, ringing that cowbell, if you will, for weeks about the Egg Bowl. I'm so nervous about the Egg Bowl, and I completely agree that Florida could have implications on it. And even if we beat Florida, it's a bye week. We're terrible after bye weeks. I'm horrified for the Egg Bowl. I'm gonna take Ole Miss probably, but I don't
I think it'll be close.
Anything's gonna happen. It's football,
Yeah.
man. That's the
You act like these cowbells are going to make all the difference in the world in this game.
People that go to Mississippi. Know people that go to Mississippi State.
We played in Georgia. We played in Oklahoma. Wow.
They don't have cowbells.
But there are a hell of a lot more of them, and they're a hell of a lot louder.
We'll be back next week to talk so much more about cowbells. We need to tap into this. We really need to get to the bottom of these
Get the
cowbells.
cowbell.
And hopefully certainly we will be fresh off of a win from Florida going into a bye week, going into Thanksgiving. I have been your host, Dierke.
I'm Max Certuse.
I'm Mariah Evans.
And I'm passionately Henry Stewart.
We will see you guys next week. Hotty toddy.